Hey everyone, Uncle Milkshake here. Today in this video we'll be talking about Kongou from Azur Lane, who is available in the core data shop.
混合型巡洋戦艦一番艦金剛です。勝利への道筋にこの私が導いて差し上げますわ。
Alright, so Kongou is an elite Sakura Empire battle cruiser. She is of the Kongou class and her sisters include Haruna, Hiei, Hiei-chan, and Kirishima. She does have special voice lines whenever she sorties with them.
高速戦艦出撃しますわ。勝利へと進みますわ。敵の砲弾には気をつけてちょうだい。人気者なんて戦場では決していいものではありませんわよ。
Her voice actress is Chiwa Saito, who also voiced Ashigara in Azur Lane. Her other roles include Jin from Genshin Impact, Aoi Asahina from Danganronpa, and many more. Alright, so let's talk about her references. Her name Kongou is the Japanese equivalent of the Vajra, which was a ritual weapon that symbolized the indestructibility of diamond and the immense force of a thunderbolt. The Vajra was also the weapon used by Indra, who is a god in Hindu mythology associated with rain, thunder, lightning, and war. This is why, just like thunder, Kongou's skill in Azur Lane is called Roaring Glory. The Kongou girls in Azur Lane were illustrated by the same artist. I'm not sure how to pronounce this, I think this is Srin, but I'm not too sure and I'm sorry if I butchered it. Anyway, I am not sure if this was intended, but this is very similar to the actual Kongou class ships, which were all designed by the same person, the British naval architect George Thurston. But the thing is, since they were all designed by the same person, why is it that in Azur Lane, Kongou looks the most out of place among her sisters, with her blonde hair and blue eyes? Well, this is because the actual Kongou battlecruiser was constructed in Barrow-in-Furness in Britain by Vickers Shipbuilding Company, while her sisters were constructed in Japan. There are also other design choices that referenced her Japanese and British roots. First of all, her horns are fake, but she has it just to fit in with the other Sakura Empire ships. Additionally, her Valentine's gift in 2021 mentions her giving you matcha chocolates, which complements a variety of Western and Eastern teas.
角？あら、これのこと？聖望についているただのお飾りですわ。こういうの、獣王のメンバーっぽくていい感じなのではなくて？
Kongou went through two rounds of reconstruction, one during the 1920s and the other in the 1930s with all her sisters when Japan pulled out from the London Naval Treaty. Upon completion of these modifications, the Kongou sisters could achieve speeds over 30 knots, which reclassified them as fast battleships, and Kongou referenced this in her self-introduction.
高速戦艦のネームシップ、7代目連合艦隊旗艦、そしてかつて獣王が海外に発注した最後の主力艦。それがこの私、金剛ですわ。
In one of her voice lines, she mentions that there is no way she would be taken out by a torpedo. Depending on how you see it, this could either be true or false. Let me explain. So on 21st November 1944, Kongou, along with Yamato, who has yet to appear in Azur Lane, Nagato, and the First Fleet entered the Formosa Strait, also known as the Taiwan Strait. They were on their way from Brunei to Kyo for reorganization of their fleet and battle repairs. This was when the submarine USS Sea Lion made radar contact and fired her torpedoes at the IJN fleet, with two hitting Kongou's port side. This led to the flooding of her boiler rooms, but she somehow survived. Well, at least for 15 minutes anyway, before the flooding went out of control, losing all power and the crew had to abandon ship.
戦艦であるこの私が魚雷ごときに沈められるもんですか。
In one of her voice lines, Kongou mentions about Zuikaku and that she worries for her. This reference is a bit tricky to connect the dots to, but after much research, I think it is a reference to the Battle of the Philippine Sea. During this battle, Kongou escorted Japanese fast carriers, which I believe included Zuikaku. This battle was the last of the 5 main carrier versus carrier battles between the US and Japan. Shokaku and Taiho was sunk by US submarines, and Zuikaku was the only survivor of the 6 fleet carriers that attacked Pearl Harbor. The fact that Zuikaku was the only survivor could be a reason why Kongou is worried if Zuikaku will be okay on her own without her sister Shokaku. and the fact that Kongou was just an escort could be a reason why Zuikaku may not recognize Kongou at a distance.
随角は一人で大丈夫かしら。少し遠くから見守ってみますわ。この距離なら見つかる心配はないはず。
Alright, so let's talk about Kongou's skills. Her first and only skill is called Roaring Glory. While alive in fleet, increases firepower, accuracy by 15% and evasion by 20% for all Kongou class ships. Honestly, at face value, it is actually pretty good. The increase in firepower and accuracy by 15% and evasion by 20% is quite a lot. Furthermore, firepower and accuracy are, in my opinion, very important stats for battleships and battlecruisers. However, it only applies to Kongou class ships, so beyond that, since this is her only skill, she will not offer much to many other team compositions. Among the Kongou sisters, their stats are actually very similar. Even though there are differences in firepower, accuracy and reload, these differences are not that far off. But in comparison to the other battleships, battlecruisers, aviation battleships and monitors, their health and firepower are at the lower spectrum. They have the 77th HP stat out of a total of 86, and Kongou has the 43rd firepower stat out of a total of 57. However, their reload stat is pretty high, with them having the 11th and 12th reload stat out of a total of 33, which can be taken advantage of when choosing Kongou's gears. With all that being said, we need to look at two different scenarios to really determine Kongou's true value. The first is, of course, using the Kongou team, and to no surprise, she really helps the team a lot. If you think about it, the reason why each of them only has one skill is most likely because they are designed to be used together, with Kongou and Hiei providing the supportive skills, while Haruna and Kirishima provide the offensive skills. I wish we could use all four sisters in one fleet, but sadly we can only have three. So out of the four, I would personally pick Kongou, Kirishima and Haruna. There's nothing wrong with using Hiei, but I don't like her gimmick. Her skill has a very low activation chance of 20% and it inflicts more damage to herself the higher you level this skill up, which isn't good for her considering she doesn't have a lot of base health to begin with. On the other hand, Kirishima is probably the flagship of the group as she is the only one with a barrage. I haven't tested how good this barrage is, but it covers a very big area, which is very good for clearing mobs. As for Haruna, she becomes your secondary damage dealer, though she needs to fire her main guns at least 4 times to get the max firepower bonus. And lastly, to top it all off, we have Kongou, who further boosts both Kirishima and Haruna's offensive capabilities. So yeah, there is no denying how valuable Kongou is in this team. But then again, it is only for this team, which is where the next scenario comes in. If you intend to use Kongou in other team compositions, you will not get a lot in return because she only has this one team specific skill. This comparison I'm gonna make is often overused, but let's face it, Nagato exists. She provides similar buffs as Kongou and Hiei, but without the self-harm and low activation chance that Hiei has. She also doesn't need to stack the increase in firepower to get the maximum benefit like Haruna. I'm not sure how the math works, like whether it's plus 6% of each consecutive buff firepower stat or her base firepower, but regardless, it is still lesser than Nagato's because of Haruna's low base firepower stat. And lastly, Nagato has a barrage, just like Kirishima. So since Nagato can achieve all that the 4 Kongou sisters can by herself, and that Nagato doesn't have as strict of a restriction when it comes to team compositions for Sakura Empire, it greatly overshadows the value of Kongou and her sisters. So depending on which scenario you are using Kongou in, she can either be very good or be completely useless. Alright, so let's move on to her gear if you're gonna use a Kongou class fleet. For main guns, I would personally use fast reloading guns to make full use of a high reload stat. So you can use the twin 381mm or the triple 305mm. For a transitional option, you can go with the AP purple twin 381mm. However, if you want to use the same fleet as I do, which is the Kongou, Haruna and Kirishima fleet, I would prioritize putting these fast reload guns on Haruna and Kirishima instead if you don't have spares, because both of them have firing based skills. As for secondaries, AP guns are the way to go. This is because they have higher shell speeds, making them very good against suicide boats. Both DD and CL guns are great options, so for DD guns, you can either use the twin 128mm or its golden variant from Gear Lab. Even though they have a smaller spread, they make up for it with their faster reload. As for CL guns, you can use the twin 152, which has a bigger spread but much slower reload than the DD guns. If you want to go all in for damage, there is the triple 152 prototype or the rainbow prototype quadruple 152mm if you have it. Alright, so let's talk about Kongou skins. Did you know that Kongou originally didn't look like this? Well, here you go. This was Kongou's original art. I personally like her current one more because it has the horns that make her resemble the other Sakura Empire ships. I also think her current blue eyes match her navy color palette more than her green eyes with her mostly black outfit. And lastly, that smirk and that wink is such a sexy combo. Anyway, her first skin is called Beauties of Nature. This skin was actually how Kongou caught my eye. It is so pretty and the color combination of pink and purple with her blonde hair and blue eyes is so good. This outfit also symbolizes her mixed British and Japanese roots too. I mean, the kimono is a huge giveaway, but the collar has a European style instead of the traditional kimono neckline, and I absolutely love that. Her next skin is called Hospital Talent, which is just fan service, so it's definitely amazing. But the thing is, why is there a manju piloting the hospital bed? I'll leave that to your own imagination. Her last skin as of now is called Breezy Commute, which is my least favorite because her face looks so different from her other skins, to the point that she becomes unrecognizable to me when I saw this for the first time. Don't get me wrong though, I'm not saying the art is bad, it's just that I hope they would be more consistent with the artwork. But anyways, that's just me. If you're wondering why she only has charms of Hiei and Haruna on her back, well, that's because Kirishima made them for her. So it's no surprise Kirishima wouldn't have a charm here. But I wish they had the charms of all four sisters because they would look so cute together.
霧島が家庭科で作ったストラップですわ。なかなかよくできているでしょ?
Alright, so what are my thoughts about Kongou? Yes, I know she is very niche, but you can't deny how hot and pretty she looks. Like, come on. Anyway, I personally wouldn't recommend new players building her unless you have all the Kongou sisters or you just really like her. Azur Lane has a lot of characters right now, so it is no surprise that Kongou will get overshadowed by a lot of other ships. Then again, I personally would use her from time to time if I'm playing casually or if I am very confident I can survive a stage. Alright, so here are all my thoughts about Kongou. What do you guys think? Do let me know in the comment section down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Do leave a like if you guys did, subscribe for more awesome content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.